camera surveillance at its nuclear sites. IAEA head Rafael Mariano Grossi met with Iranian leaders in Tehran last week. On Wall Street, the Dow by 419 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
See, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent sharply criticizing the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, even as he tries to reassure nervous investors that the United States will maintain its global leadership role. Bessent says the U.S. wants, quote, mutual respect among trading partners. He stops just short of calling, though, for the U.S. to withdraw from the IMF and the World Bank. Major action by the European Union. It is imposing very harsh fines on tech giants Apple and Meta in regard to several infractions. Wall Street today, the Dow was up 419 points, S&P 500 ahead 88, and the NASDAQ climbed 407. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Jason Walker.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly cloudy this evening with a low temp dipping to 62. Tomorrow, much like today, on and off showers, nothing too intense. The high temperature topping out at 79. Less chance of rain, but still cloudy for Friday and Saturday. Sunday looking great. Sunshine and a high of 78. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
I can't wait. I can't wait to get at it tonight. Been counting down, like ESPN, counting down the NFL draft for about the last 3 days. What are we down to? 26 hours, 47 minutes, 14 seconds to talk about a left tackle. And does he have the feet? How big are his hands? What's his butt like? Does he have a beard? Yeah, that's coming up tomorrow.
Well done.
You like that?
That is well done.
Yeah.
Mel Kornblut.
I tell you, beards and butts. That's all you need to know about offensive linemen: beards and butts, and candy and nuts. Great to have you with us on what is now a beautiful afternoon in Columbia. By the way, for those of you who don't live in Columbia and you think Columbia is a crummy town, you despise Columbia, you think it's just some place to drive through on I-26 or I-20. No, sir. This town's booming. Booming. Did you see where they are going to build 2 high-rises on Main Street, 126, the other 22 floors. One is going to be for student living, much like the Hub. The other is going to be for, like, rich people who want to live downtown in nice Yeah, for the plumber. In fact, the plumber, this could be more work for you in the plumbing business. Nice condos and all that. Right downtown, it's going to look great. And then I drive by it every day. They're now really starting to ramp up the building of the new University of South Carolina Medical School out on Hardin Street, and that's going to be phenomenal. So, yeah, Columbia is it's ticking up. It's ticking up, and the Gamecocks are pretty excited about their upcoming season. What are you chuckling about? That was a transition from the home of the Gamecocks to the Gamecocks. They're excited about their upcoming season. The baseball team feeling a little better after winning 4 out of 5. Bergie, you know as well as anybody, a baseball season can turn on a dime. You can get hot, and you can put some wins together. I think this Gamecock team, obviously, if they get the starts that they got in the first two games against Ole Miss, they're going to beat a lot of teams. Now you can't right now. You can't rest assured that they're going to get those kind of starts, but they might. They might when they go to Kentucky. You got to keep Kentucky off the base pass because apparently they'll run you crazy on the base pass. That's their thing. And they have a new artificial surface there at their baseball stadium. Paul Maneri was telling us that today. We'll hear from Maneri coming up in a little bit. But, I think this team can put a little something together. I think they can go take 2 out of 3 Kentucky. I think they can win. I think it's reasonable to think they can win at least 2 of 3 in their next 3 SEC series, 2 of which are at home. 2 on the road, 1 at home, and then the last one at home is against LSU. That might be a reach. Maybe you can win 1 out of 3 against LSU. But I think until they prove me wrong here right now, they won a game last night in 10 innings, a really tough pitching performance both ways. Got a walk-off win, their first true walk-off extra inning win of the season, something that didn't end with the 10-run rule. And who knows? They might get on a little run here and have a decent finish and maybe win a game or 2 in the SEC tournament.
I guess all that's possible. I'm sort of more in the pessimistic side because of what I've seen thus far out of that team. And until they show me that the pitching was not an aberration against Ole Miss in games 1 and 2, I'll hold my thoughts on whether or not they can win some series down the stretch. They are who they are. Pretty decent offensive team, not a bad defensive team, and for the most part just a very, very poor pitching staff up until this past weekend. And for whatever reason, they got a tremendous start, obviously, from Brandon Stone, and then Jake McCoy followed it up on Friday and then just didn't have it when they ran out the staff on Saturday. But until that changes, Phil, I'm not quite as optimistic as you are. I think they'll probably finish towards, if not right on the bottom, they'll finish probably just ahead of Missouri.
I got you. Well, I can understand that. I can understand that based on how they have been. I just believe that you can a baseball season can turn. You can have a quick flash and put some wins together. Look at the Mets. The Mets just finished undefeated homestand. They're like, 17, 18, and 7, off to a great start to it.
I think they've won 7 in a row.
Yeah.
They've got one of – I think it's they and the Padres had the best record in baseball now.
So it can happen. And they're not getting a whole lot out of Juan Soto right now. So when he starts hitting, look out for the Mets. A lot of afternoon baseball. We'll touch on that. Got a great show. A great show tonight. I'm going to really love diving into this topic at the bottom of the hour. Lou Bajak from the state newspaper did great coverage late last night on the hearing by the committee over at the State House on the bill to demolish the South Carolina High School League and create a new body to run high school athletics. In fact, I was reading some of the back and forth that Lou transcribed between the representatives and Jerome Singleton. It was like Jerome was on Capitol Hill, facing the committee for missile defense or whatever. They ripped him apart, downright almost rude, if you ask me. Now, if you know Jerome Singleton, you may not like him for whatever reason, but if the man is anything, the man is honorable. He's been a coach. He's been an administrator. He's been leading the high school league. He's got a son who's a great para-Olympic athlete.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he does.
That's very cool.
Yeah. The man is above reproach from that standpoint, yet you had these people, and I don't know them, you had these people basically questioning his work ethic and the work ethic of the people there at the South Carolina High School League. Basically saying, you get paid somebody had numbers on like the top 3 or 4 administrators there combined, they're making like $100,000 a year each. And what are we seeing from it? Well, I mean, it's not, as I've said before, the high school league, the people who work in that building over there, they're good people. And they don't make the rules. They try to enforce the rules. The rules are made by the schools themselves. The playoff formats, all the rules are made by people who run the schools, who are on the committees, the principals, the assistant principals, whoever. The people who are chairman of various regions, they get together. The ADs and principals, they get together in Charleston. They drum up the rules. The high school league is just charged to enforce them. And one thing about Jerome Singleton, if it's in the book, if it's black and white, he's going to enforce it. And then he'll let the appeals process, take over. And I know people are quick to crucify him when something bad happens to a team, because they broke the rules or it was alleged and they had a hearing. Well, all he's doing is enforcing the rule book that's handed to him, as I understand it, by the schools themselves. But anyway, they've moved this bill out of committee towards going on for further discussion and maybe a vote in the House to create a new association and do away with the high school league and have high school sports run by the state of South Carolina.
God help us.
Yeah, appointed by the legislature. So anyway, Mike Anthony, good friend of Sports Talk, great football coach, excellent golfer, has a unique perspective in that he was a state champion football coach, and he was also in the state house for many years, representing Union County and other counties up there. I don't know what his district was, but anyway, he has a unique perspective. He's going to join us at 6:30 to talk about the process and maybe, why this might be good or why it's bad or where it might go to. So that's coming up. And then we're going to hear from Paul Maneri. Met with him today, and he had some interesting things to say about his baseball team. We'll have that for you. 7:05. 7:05, we dust off the boys. We dust them off. Chuck Reedy, Ellis Johnson, a springtime edition of Chalk Talk here on Sports Talk. And then at 7:35, makeup edition of SC Wild from DNR with Major Billy Downer. Since we missed the first show of the month with him, we're going to make it up tonight. So we have got a dynamite lineup. Plus recruiting, South Carolina has signed another player out of the portal, John. This is a player who actually committed to the Gamecocks coming out of high school for the 21 class, but after Will Muschamp was fired, he ended up flipping over to Florida State. His name is George Wilson. He's a defensive end. He's coming from Campbell University, so he's trying to resurrect his career on the SEC level after a 2-year stint at Campbell University. But at the very least, Shane Beamer had said he was seeking some depth at defensive end, and Berkey, he went out and got Damon Clowney, and he got George Wilson, two guys with excellent high school reputations who just haven't had great college careers to this point.
Yeah, and I think you've got to, if you're a Gamecock fan, you've got to kind of lean on the side of Shane Beamer. He seems to know what he's doing in the portal. I'll use example one in Kyle Kennard. Did a terrific job turning that guy around from his days at Georgia Tech into what's going to be his, I think Rick Sanford pointed out last night, probably second, third round. I believe he said he believes that's where Kennard will go. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you've got to kind of trust him, especially at that defensive line spot, and they've been able to develop a lot of talent there. So it's probably just another body in that room, which they desperately need, but it may turn out to be another diamond in the rough the way Kennard was.
You never know. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we got all that coming your way, plus recruiting tonight. We should mention, too, talking about baseball, what a terrific win for Clemson last night. They shut out Georgia, a battle of top 10 teams. That's going to look good on the resume when the season is over for the Tigers. Now they head to Raleigh for a series that begins tomorrow night against NC State. We'll try and have Eric Bakich on with us next week, but showed some of the depth. Showed some of the depth. And Malstat has 15 saves for him. That's a Clemson single-season record. That's the one thing Clemson has that a lot of teams don't have. They got that guy they can go to, and really, with him, you might even get 7 or 8 outs to close a game. I would say 6, 2 innings out of him, but you might even stretch him into a third inning if necessary to get you a huge win in the postseason. That's going to be invaluable for them when they hit the postseason.
Reminds me of Matt Price, Phil, and he is what to the Tigers what Matt Price was to the Gamecocks. He was that bulldog out of the back end of the bullpen, and when Price came in, you knew the game was pretty much over.
Yeah.
And that was part of the reason the Gamecocks won back-to-back national championships and played for a third. And I was telling you earlier this afternoon after watching last night what I've seen thus far from Clemson and where they're going to be slotted because they're so good at home. I mean, let's face it, Club DKS has turned into a monster for them, and now that they've gotten the bullpen, and I was watching on television last night, all the Clemson students were standing around the Georgia bullpen. That can't be comfortable for visiting teams to have to deal with. But I think it's Omaha or bust from them. If they don't make the College World Series this year, and this is assuming they don't have somebody thrown out in the NCAA tournament, which they've had both in the past 2 years, but assuming that all the guys make it through the games, I see no reason they can't make it to the College World Series this year. They are that good.
I'm with you. I mean, of course, we've said that for several years with Clemson, and they've had a great run of home regionals here going back several years, and they just have not been able to get over that hump. A lot depends on who was sent to your regional. I've seen one regional projection that was extremely weak for Clemson just based on the reputations of the schools. Then I see one today from the field of 64. They're projecting Clemson as a number 2 seed with Kansas, Fairfield, and Bethune-Cookman. Again, I don't believe that's overwhelming competition for the Tigers there. They have Coastal Carolina as a 13 seed hosting Duke, Northeastern, and Rhode Island. Now, Northeastern, and we had Coach Stoneman talk about them, and we saw what they did to Charleston last weekend. They've got great pitching. You might not want to have Northeastern in your region if you're Coastal Carolina, but that's what they project there. So the top national seeds by the field of 54 is Texas, Clemson, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, and then Florida State, LSU, Oregon State, North Carolina, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, Tennessee, trying to give you to them in order. Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Coastal, Irvine, TCU, and West Virginia. So there you go. That's,
and you mentioned
16.
And you mentioned Northeastern's pitching. Yeah, you're right. They've got the 4th best ERA in the country. Their ERA is 3.19 as a team. Now, is that because the Coastal Athletic Association, formerly the Colonial, now the Coastal, is not as strong as it normally has been? I don't know. I'm not real familiar with Northeastern pitching, but 3.19 ERA, regardless. I mean, that's got you in the discussion with Texas and Tennessee, who are 2 and 3, just ahead of them, to give you an idea.
Well, good win for Clemson last night, and we'll see what happens with the Tigers moving forward. Okay, let's go to the break. If you want to jump on the show, next few minutes will be your opportunity. We're going to be booked up afterwards. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you. Also, we have our text line for you, which, of course, is 803-900-4847. Brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance here in Columbia. We'll update the first day of play, the SEC Golf Championships. South Carolina is there, of course. Be back in just a moment.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
We are back on Sports Talk Media Network on this Wednesday nights. Good to have you riding home with us tonight. If you're at home listening to us, enjoying dinner, maybe a little late afternoon social activity, glad to have you tuned in to us over radio stations, YouTube, Facebook, the Chief Sports app, however you're getting the program tonight. All kind of ways to get us, just as long as you get us. That's the main thing, and make sure, please, that you pay attention to our great advertisers, our sponsors, our supporters. Help us keep this show on the air and free, FREE, for you, both in terms of the airwaves, a website, our X account, all that stuff is there for you to enjoy. All right, SEC Men's Golf Tournament opening today, playing at St. Simon's Island down in Georgia, and Auburn, your first-round leader at 16 under. 7-shot lead on LSU and Texas A&M. Oklahoma is next at -6. Florida is next at 5 under. Then Georgia 4 under, and South Carolina comes in at -3. Nathan Franks had a really good day today for the Gamecocks. He shoots 69, and that puts him in a tie for third place. 5 under par for him. Obviously the best score for the Gamecocks. He was the only Gamecock under par. Zach Adams was even par. Frankie Harris was +1 for the Gamecocks. They're in good shape. That's not bad. First day total there for them. So Clemson ACC tournament, that gets underway later on this week. USC women, of course, won the SEC Women's Championship, automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. They're going to be the #1 seed at the regional in Charlottesville, Virginia. College of Charleston women, who won the CAA Women's Golf Championship, will also be in that regional. All right, baseball this afternoon. Atlanta Braves, all of a sudden, they figured out how to win. They put together a nice little run here, and the Braves finished out a successful. Was this the end of their homestand? They finished up a successful series with the Cardinals this afternoon, winning 4-1. So I don't know if that's the end of the homestand, or I know that's the end of the series. So the Braves win 4-1. Reds beat the Marlins 5-2. The biggest news of the day in baseball, Yankees beat the Guardians 5-1. That would be South Carolina's favorite baseball team, the New York Yankees.
You keep believing that.
And I have no reason not to believe it. Detroit.
I mean, the overwhelming amount of Atlanta Braves fans in our state would you think you'd figure that out by now, but
fake fans.
But that's okay.
Fake fans. Tigers beat the Padres.
And by the way, that was the end of Atlanta's homestand. They go to Arizona this weekend.
Oh, good. Tigers beat the Padres 6-0. Like I mentioned earlier, the Mets won again, beat the Phillies swept that series 4-3, and that is it for afternoon baseball today in the major leagues. NBA playoffs continuing. Lakers won last night. Celtics play tonight. Jason Tatum, they say, is doubtful with that wrist injury. So hopefully the Celtics won't need him to take care of business tonight. Magic's tough. Magic plays great defense. They get in your noggin. They can make it a little bit tough.
They don't need him until they see Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland's awfully good. Cleveland
and Boston better combine an all-star team to try and knock out Oklahoma City. Good grief.
Well, yeah, I'm not too concerned about that.
They're on a different
right
planet.
Now, we'll figure that out as time comes. You mentioned this off air. The Panthers not going to host any fans on their practice sites this year, next year, because of construction going on around the stadium there. As they were building that place out in remember out in Rock Hill, where the state of South Carolina built them a beautiful interchange. Gorgeous interchange.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful interchange. One of the most beautiful interchanges that I've ever seen. It even has a name, the Palmetto Parkway, I think it's called. Yeah. But it goes nowhere. It certainly doesn't go to the Panthers headquarters anymore. And now they're not going to have any fans at training camp.
I mean, I don't know how many times David Tepper can show us who he is and us not believe he's just a horrible owner. I mean, how many more times are you going to just spit in the face of your fans constantly, as bad as your team already is? The last thing you should be doing is trying to alienate any more fans. But that's fine. That's what they get for not following through in Rock Hill. It's what they get for moving training camp out of Wofford. So, yeah, fine. Go practice and nobody can see it. Maybe that's better. Because as bad as they are. And you watch. I'll go ahead and tell you right now, tomorrow night, whatever picks they have tomorrow night, they will mess up. Because this is a team that is in desperate need of defense, and I guarantee you they'll select an offensive player. That's just who they are.
Real quick.
It's so frustrating.
Real quick, let's go to Bruce in Missouri. Kind of up against the clock here, Bruce. Welcome in. How are you?
Thank you, Phil, for taking my call.
Yeah.
I've got started on my first beer with a wrap of the koozie of the Palmetto flag with the crescent and the Palmetto tree on it. And that's my first beer, and I'm the first one in line, so this must be my night.
Well, you're off to a great start, yeah.
I got to watch the end of the girls' softball game with Tennessee, and they won that game. Tennessee's number one in the conference or whatever it is. They were number one in it. And then I got to watch that fantastic game with Clemson Tigers. That was a fantastic game. And they didn't have... They put rookies in the middle of the innings, and they did a good job keeping them ahead.
Well, their pitching. Hey, we got to go. Pitching was great for Clemson last night, no doubt about it. Appreciate it. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly cloudy this evening with a low temp dipping to 62. Tomorrow, much like today, on and off showers, nothing too intense. The high temperature topping out at 79. Less chance of rain, but still cloudy for Friday and Saturday. Sunday looking great. Sunshine and a high of 78. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
Are you ready to have a boatload of fun this spring? Sail on down to your local Palmetto State Armory store and deck yourself out in our new lifestyle t-shirts, hats, and fishing shirts. Seize the day with brands like Hey Dudes, Costa, Turtle Box, Local Boy, and more. Our selection of rifles, pistols, and shotguns is sure to impress. So don't be left fishing for something to wear once the warmer weather has arrived. Check out one of our 9 retail locations or PalmettoStateArmory.com to outfit your next adventure.
Nuclear. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A dozen states have sued the Trump administration in the U.S. Court of International Trade to stop its tariff policy, saying it's unlawful and has brought chaos to the American economy. The lawsuit filed Wednesday says the policy put in place by President Trump has left the national trade policy subject to Trump's whims rather than the sound exercise of lawful authority. The lawsuit challenges Trump's claim that he could arbitrarily impose tariffs based on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency says Iran has agreed to allow in a technical team from the UN nuclear watchdog to discuss restoring camera surveillance at its nuclear sites. On Wall Street, the Dow by 419 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Nobody plans for a plumbing problem. They come unannounced and usually at a very inconvenient time. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is your trusted ally. They recognize just how vulnerable a customer is at this time, and they want to help. They have well-trained plumbers who are there to make a difference when you need it most. I've experienced this. They're knowledgeable about their craft. They're not coming to your house to pitch new products. If something is broken, they'll give you a price to fix it if it's possible, or a price to replace it if necessary. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is also locally owned and operated, or I simply wouldn't endorse them. Josh and his team prioritize customer service above everything else. They handle every issue with care and precision. Those are not just words. I've had Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning out to my home. They back up those words with their actions. If you have a crisis, get some peace of mind. Online, you find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com, or you call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. I'm absolutely positive they will make whatever is wrong right again. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Some credit cards hit you with sky rates, annual fees, and surprise costs, but not here. Founders Federal Credit Union is proud to offer credit cards with rates below the national average, giving you more control over your own finances. Our Essential MasterCard rates are as low as 13.25 APR. Prefer rewards? Our rewards cards start at just 15.25% APR, so you can earn while you spend. And the best part, there are no annual fees and no balance transfer fees. Just straightforward savings designed to keep more of your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your hands. So whether you're looking to consolidate debt, build credit, or just want a smarter way to spend, we've got the right card for you. Visit foundersfederal.com/CC to learn more or apply for a new credit card today. Relax. You're with Founders Federal Credit Union. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
Experience South Carolina's printing powerhouse. Professional Printers is your trusted partner, bringing over 30 years of expertise in print and graphics. From digital printing to web and sheet-fed solutions, we handle it all with a team of over 100 dedicated professionals. Locally owned and operated, we have 2 locations in the Midlands and serve our customers with pride, ensuring top-notch service and quality in every project. We do it all, including storage and promotional products. Visit proprinters.com and elevate your printing experience with us.
To 8, feeling just right. Phil, Chris, and Josh, they're in the zone. Across South Carolina, they're well known. Sports Talk, bringing the heat. Talking sports, can't be beat. Tune in, don't you pout. It's a show you can't live without.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Great to have you with us. Just a moment, Coach Mike Anthony will join us, but a significant piece of news related to the world of college athletics has just moved within the last few minutes. The judge, Claudia Wilkin, has issued an order in the House versus NCAA settlement. For those who really get confused by that, House is not like House of Representatives. That's the name of an athlete who's a swimmer at the University of Texas, I think, who started this whole lawsuit stuff. His last name is House. That's why it's called the House versus NCAA settlement. Anyway, she's giving the attorneys 14 days to phase in or grandfather in roster limits. If not, she'll deny the settlement that would usher in revenue sharing and pay billions in back damages. So again, she's giving the attorneys 14 days to phase in or grandfather in roster limits. Okay, you follow
so
that?
This would affect the guys who have jumped in, guys and gals who have jumped in the portal that believe they're going to get another year of eligibility. Is that what she's talking about? Like the Ian Shefflins of the world?
She brought this up very early in the process as she was reviewing everything. She was concerned about roster limits. She doesn't want roster limits. And the sides are saying to her it's already begun, too late to stop it, and she disagrees. Because remember now, the colleges are thinking about a roster limit of 15 for basketball, 30-something for baseball, 120 max for football, no walk-ons, all scholarship. That's what was proposed and talked about. So she's opposed to that, I guess. She wants
what, she want 200 football players on scholarship?
I don't know. She said limits could be accomplished gradually by attrition. One way of achieving that could be modify the settlement agreement to ensure that no members of the injunctive relief settlement class who have or had a roster spot will lose it as a result of the immediate implementation of the settlement agreement. Limits could be accomplished gradually by attrition. There may be other ways of mitigating the harm to members of the class. Way above my pay grade to figure this stuff out.
I'm totally
Let me
confused
welcome
now.
in somebody who is an authority on the law, because he used to help write laws. Not sure they were all good laws, but he helped to write them. Championship coach, former House member Mike Anthony joining us on Sports Talk. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing? I almost said Stan, but it's Phil, isn't it?
Stop raising my taxes, will you? Okay. It is great to have you. How you doing? You feeling well?
Doing good. Yeah, I had a little AFib. I don't know. I found out just about everybody I talked to has had AFib, but had that and had to run a little test. So I got to run another test tomorrow, but I think I'm gonna be fine. Yeah, play golf Monday, so I'm good.
There you go. That's the medicine. Well, we're pulling for you. We're thinking about you. We're rooting for you.
Thank you.
Got the whole state behind you there. You'll be fine. So good luck with that. But I appreciate you taking a few minutes to join us because you kind of have, I think, a unique perspective. You were a coach and you were in the house, and you've had to deal with the high school league from a coaching standpoint, an AD standpoint, and all that, I'm sure, over time. What is in simplest form, what's going on with this bill and where's it going to go next and what do you see happening?
Well, I told you earlier, I really hadn't followed this as closely as I probably would if I was still serving, but I did cheat on you a little bit and called Jackie a while ago. And Coach Hayes said that, this bill was just passed through the subcommittee, I think, today, which means that it's got to go to full committee and pass there, and then it'll go to the House floor.
What's the likelihood of all that happening, you think?
Well, they only got 7 days left, I think, in the session. So getting it through the House and the Senate, I think it'll be very difficult. But I told Jackie, I said, I'd rather you talk about it. He said, no, I want to talk about it when it gets to the floor. So he didn't want to put it on the air tonight. So, but it'll be difficult to pass this year, but it's something that has been brewing for several years now. And it's something that I really think that it's sad to say when you look at a league that Jackie told me that it formed in 1913.
Yeah.
And then I think we had separate, black association and white association until we integrated. And then now we're still looking at 50-something years after integration. So it's a league that's basically handled by the superintendents and the principals and the athletic directors, and of course the coaches have a voice also. So I think it's something that we need to be real careful about tearing up. I'm a little bit afraid of getting somebody to assign officials for a Friday night football game. Think about that.
Yeah.
Phil. I mean, you're talking about every school in the state.
Yeah.
And, I don't think they realize sometimes exactly what the ramifications are of just saying, we're going to do away with this. That's a little bit dangerous, I think, when you do that. But at the same time, A lot of things have happened, I think. Now Jackie was saying, he and I pushed for homeschoolers to be able to participate. Well, they added to it only if they're in their territory or in their, area.
Mm-hmm.
Like the kids homeschool. Well, that's a great rule. Charter schools were something that we helped in, but at the same time, I don't think we understood the recruiting portion of that. And a lot of people say they don't recruit. Well, I beg to differ, but that's okay, But still, charter schools are good. There's nothing wrong with that. Our big thing was private schools refuse to take the testing that our public schools have to have. And these charter schools, we said, if you guys will take the testing, then we'll call you public charter schools, and that's what they are.
Mm-hmm.
But it's obvious that there's some recruiting going on to the point to where now they've passed the one-time recruit move that they can do now, just recently.
And they have the multiplier still in place.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that multiplier, I think, is good. That's going to even some things out, and I think that's good. So it's not to say that the league hadn't been proactive in these things. They've done all these things that they've required them to do. I can remember back when I talked on this show with you about the extra committee to hear appeals. Those are appointed by the legislature. I don't think the legislature understood, even when I was there, or else what all has to happen, what all has to do to put on a game, whether it be all the baseball teams that are playing now, like I said, assigning officials and all that. I don't know if they understand. You don't just hand that over to just anybody that can do that, So, I hope that I think they'll do the right thing at the end. But this may not be something that happens this year, but it may be something that happens next year. And let me tell you, Phil, I believe this with all my heart. Anytime somebody has an axe to grind, that's when these kind of things come up.
Yeah.
And taking that team out of the playoffs, I think Somerville was supposed to play them in the Upper State Championship. I forgot the name of the school. You remember?
I think it was Ashley Ridge.
Ashley Ridge might be part of the problem here. I remember way back there was another school that had problems. And, Jackie and I were talking, he said, and I think you guys have said on the show, I sit out on the porch and listen to you all the time.
We appreciate it.
Y'all said once playoffs begin, you couldn't report another school if they're playing an ineligible player. Jackie and I put it to a different level. I think you could go all the way back to what you couldn't report someone once region started.
Mm-hmm.
That determines who gets into playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would even be better. So there ought to be some, in my opinion, they ought to be finding solutions to some of these things instead of just tearing it up and redoing it. That's difficult.
Reading some of the transcript that Lou Bajak reported on from yesterday's hearing, it seemed awful personal to me with some of the House members asking questions of Jerome Singleton. Basically, I took it as questioning his work ethic, the work ethic of some people there with him at the high school league. One of the lines was something like, we pay you this money, the three of you make this kind of money, and what are we seeing from it, that kind of stuff. Really, I thought was a little bit over the top, if you ask me. See, I happen to think, tell me if I'm wrong, Jerome and the staff there, they are there just to do the work that is assigned to them from the schools themselves, right? The schools make the rules. The schools draw up the playoff formats, the ADs, the principals, the coaches. The high school league just implements what they're directed to implement. Am I correct?
You are exactly right. And that's something that I hate to say that. I hate to say what you just said. I guess it might be personal, but, that, again, that comes when somebody has an axe to grind. If they're upset about a team that's dismissed out of the playoffs like it happened this past year, and I understand how they feel. I really do. I feel sorry for them. That's why I think, and see, they can correct this. Removing someone, especially in the playoffs, and y'all talked about it on this show. About it, once the playoffs started, y'all said then we shouldn't be taking anybody out. You shouldn't be allowed to even question it. And I agree with that. But the process also, if they do pass it in the House of Representatives, then it'll have to go to the Senate. And personally, I can't say that it won't be pushed quickly if somebody else is pushing and somebody wants to do it. I can't say 100%, but it'll be very difficult with 7 days left, and they're dealing with budgets and all that kind of stuff to get that to through the House and also through the Senate. It would have to go to a subcommittee in the Senate, too. It would have to go to a subcommittee and then to a full committee, just like it does in the House.
But if they don't get it through this year, or if they don't work on it this year, vote on it, certainly it'll be something that they'll bring back up next year, you would think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think they would. And that to me gives us time. When I say us, I'm talking about coaches, superintendents, principals, to do this. I mean, when you're talking about appointees running this place, like the governor has it, maybe the House Speaker and the President or the Senate and so forth having appointees, that's a little bit of an overreach to me of the state government. That's why we've hired this, and that's why this association has been stable, in my opinion. And I ain't always agree with them now.
Sure.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've had my axes to grind too.
Yeah.
But not to the point to where I want to get rid of them. But I understand their feelings. I understand what they're saying. But I think I don't want to destroy something that's been around a long time. When I first came in the house in 2003, you might remember Mike Fair, who was a great quarterback at Carolina and stuff.
Yeah.
He was in the house, and he had a problem with the league on something. And Jackie and I went over with him, and Ronnie Matthews, I know he was a director at that time. We went over and we solved that. And then Greg Ryberg, a dear friend of mine from Aiken, he was mad at the high school league for something, and they've been talking about this a long time.
Well, I think their anger, to me, I think their anger is misplaced in that, again, you're getting mad at the people who are just enforcing the rules as given to them. You got a problem, you should take it to the ADs or you should take it to the principals. They meet in summertime in Charleston, don't they, every year, and draw up the rules and review the rules and send that on to the high school league?
It's in March, yeah.
March, okay.
March,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go to Charleston, and that's when pretty much you set the pattern. And the multiplier was a question mark for a lot of people, and they solved that. I think, and even the charters, I think, are okay with that. So it's a pretty good organization, run by a lot of people, and like you said, all the really high school league does is do exactly what you said. They do what they're told to do by the superintendents and the principals and the ADs and the coaches.
Yeah.
And they run it. And I will say this about Jerome. One thing about Jerome, you may not agree with him, but he's going to go right by whatever they tell him to do.
Yeah.
He's done that for many, many years now. Have I had some axes to grind with him? Sure I have. But that's just as it turned out. He will do the right thing in the end. I'll tell you that.
Well, he's a by the book guy. He always has been.
That's it. By the book. That's what I was trying to say, and just didn't get it there. Yeah.
You're a football guy. I'm a wordsmith, so that's the difference between us.
Yeah.
Governor.
So is Tiger Bryan. Me and Tiger Bryan wordsmiths. Yeah.
Governor, great talking to you.
Okay, buddy.
I hope everything goes well for tomorrow. I'm sure that it will, and we will talk to you again soon. We appreciate your time.
All right, buddy. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you. Coach Mike Anthony. Glad we could get him off the golf course. He's shooting his age, man. He's shooting 75, but he is playing from the senior tees, and I told him that's not real golf.
Hey, you go out and shoot your age. I don't care how old you are. Pretty good player. But here's the issue.
But it's the senior tees.
The state legislature is doing exactly what governments have done for years, creating a problem when there's not one.
It's a good point. Okay, we'll be back.
League alone.
Be back in just a moment.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Hey, George Bryant here with Tsunami Bar Sports. Let me tell you about something new we have going on. So now we can build your own golf studio in the comfort of your own home. That's right. We can come right into the Frog, to the room over the garage, to a dedicated space, and put your simulator in where you can play Pebble Beach, Harbor Town, and anywhere in between. True Golf is our partner, and we have some cool technology. TsunamiBarSports.com. Go check it out. Again, that's TsunamiBarSports.com. And let us put your favorite golf course in the room over the garage.
Are you in the market for an auto loan? Move now. Get an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union by October 31st for a chance to win up to $25,000 towards your qualifying loan and a $5,000 deposit into your Loyalty Select account. And the best part? We'll be choosing monthly winners, so the earlier you get a loan, the more chances you have to win. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto to learn more. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
Packers make me cry. They do make me cry when they lose in the playoffs. Clemson starting pitching for the NC State series will be Canuck on Thursday, Titsworth on Friday, and TBA on Saturday. South Carolina hitting the road to go to Kentucky. We had a chance to do a little gaggle interview session with Coach Paul Maneri over at the stadium this afternoon, and pointed out that, you've won 4 out of 5. You got to be feeling pretty good as you hit the road.
We're excited to go over to Lexington and play the University of Kentucky. They're playing really well as well. They won 2 out of 3, I think, against Tennessee, and then blew out Louisville last night. So it's obviously going to be another great challenge in the SEC, but one we're excited about. Especially the way that at least our top 2 starting pitchers pitched last week, and gives you the feeling that you can compete. And we played a good, solid game again last night, I thought. Wish we would have, hit a little bit more. But, listen, North Florida had a couple of guys pretty good arms. They presented a challenge. So, hey, listen, it's just going to be another tough SEC series. Very unique environment over there at Kentucky. They have a new field. Well, a new field. They about 5 or 6 years ago came up with a new field. It's all artificial turf, so it'll be our first game, I believe, all year that it's on artificial turf. So we'll get over tomorrow night and have a nice little practice and hopefully get used to the terrain.
Coach, you said last night, it was nice to break through and have a true walk-off win. Yeah. How much confidence does that give this team? And you always talk about clutch hitting. You guys came up clutch when it mattered most. What type of confidence?
Yeah, well, we're not going to have any walk-off wins this weekend because we don't bat last in the games. But, walk-off wins, I've always felt this throughout my coaching career, that when you have those kind of wins, it does a lot for the confidence of the team. And Scobie was down in the count with 2 strikes on him when he drilled that ball over the center fielder's head, and just to see the kids so excited is what excites me. To see that, here we are late in the year. We only have 14 games to go. We're not where we want to be, obviously, with our conference record, and yet the kids are still excited about coming to the field every day. And, honestly, when I've been doing this for so many years, there's been so many years where, you're just sputtering to the finish line and you can't wait, players can't wait for the season to get over. And I don't feel that at all with these guys. They still enjoy coming to the field. They still enjoy the environment they're around. There's no animosity, between coaches and players or players and players or anything like that. And they're still having fun. And to get a nice win like that, I think just continues to encourage them. And, obviously we won 2 out of 3 last weekend against Ole Miss, which started the second half of the season. I guess I can dream. What if we won all 5 series? In the second half of the season. Who knows? You do that. You make a good run in the SEC tournament. Your RPI keeps moving up. Maybe we can salvage something out of the season. But we just got to take it one game at a time. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. Just, listen, the first game at Kentucky is going to be a tough game, and that's all we're going to be focusing on.
Kentucky plays a pretty unique brand of baseball. Do y'all do anything different from a practice standpoint and preparation to kind of practice and combat what they do?
Sure. Yeah, if I'm doing my job correctly, we will. We study their tendencies a lot. They like to run a lot. Obviously, I like to know what counts they run on, and we went back and did quite a bit of research on that, and hopefully we'll be able to execute some pickoff moves and some pitch outs on when we think they're going to be stealing, and then throw them out. They that's their style. They're going to try to create havoc on the bases. I know last year they stole home on Becker, in a crazy play. So they play a very unique style of baseball, but sooner or later, you just got to throw it over the plate and hope they hit it at someone, and then you make the plays. I think that's where you really play into Kentucky's game, is when you hit batters and walk batters. Like, they're first in the league in getting hit by pitches. They're also way up there in bases on balls. And, if their team batting average is very similar to ours. They've scored a few more runs, but, you just can't, give free passes. If your pitchers aren't afraid to throw the ball over the plate and pound the zone, it gives you a chance. And like I told our pitchers, they can steal a lot of bases, but the one base they can't steal is first base. So if you keep them off first base, you're going to slow down their base stealing abilities.
Okay, Palmineri. You know what? He's optimistic, I think, Chris. And why not think optimistically here the last month of the season?
Yeah, but he's right about Kentucky. I'm looking at some of their stats. They've stolen 53 more bases this season. That has Carolina, and they lead the SEC, and it's not close. And hit by pitches, they've been hit 110 times this year.
Wow.
Gamecocks have been hit 60, just for a point of reference.
Throw strikes. Throw strikes. Be back after the break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The White House is blasting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for turning down a deal that would cede Crimea to Russia. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
The president is not asking Ukraine to recognize Crimea. Nobody has asked them to do that. What he is asking is for people to come to the negotiating table recognizing that this has been a brutal war for far too long. And in order to make a good deal, both sides have to walk away a little bit unhappy.
High-level talks in London aimed at bringing a pause to the fighting in Ukraine disintegrated after Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff pulled out. The Trump administration on Wednesday continued to resist a federal judge's orders to produce information about the steps it has taken, if any, to return a man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. White House supporter czar Tom Homan says Kilmar Abrego Garcia would just be sent back to El Salvador if it's forced to return him to the U.S.
I don't think any court can order another nation
a sovereign nation to take a citizen national their country and their custody and get back to the U.S. Again, I'm not an attorney. I'll let DOJ argue this in court. But I think we remove the public safety threat, gang member, designated terrorists from the United States who have been ordered deported twice by a federal judge. I think I got plenty of due process.
A dozen states have sued the Trump administration in the U.S. Court of International Trade to stop its tariff policy, saying it's unlawful and has brought chaos to the American economy. The lawsuit filed Wednesday says the policy put in place by President Trump has left the national trade policy subject to Trump's whims rather than the sound exercise of lawful authority. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You heard the news. Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange and listed on the big board. Millions of Americans like you are joining our news revolution. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top 12 news brands in America. Even President Trump says it's terrific. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America. This communication is for informational purposes only and shall not be intended to or shall not constitute any offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such offer, solicitation, or sale would be unlawful.
Palestinian President Abbas urges Hamas to hand over its arms. The latest from Felice Friedson.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas was the center of attention on Wednesday after admonishing Hamas terrorists to release the remaining hostages held since it invaded Israeli border communities on October 7, 2023. The octogenarian head of the Palestinian Authority exhorted Hamas to lay down its weapons, turn over control of the Gaza Strip to the Palestinian Authority, and become part of the political landscape of a new entity many expect will rise from the ashes of the devastated enclave. In Jordan, the powerful Muslim Brotherhood was banned and any media mention of the organization forbidden. Critics are asking why it took Abbas 18 months, while some suggest influence from Washington. I'm Felice Friedson, Town Hall News, Jerusalem.
News and analysis at themedialine.org and townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly cloudy this evening with a low temp dipping to 62. Tomorrow, much like today, on and off showers, nothing too intense. The high temperature topping out at 79. Less chance of rain, but still cloudy for Friday and Saturday. Sunday looking great. Sunshine and a high of 78. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network. Busy hour ahead. SC Wild coming up, recruiting coming up in just moments. Also, a visit with Coach Ellis and Coach Johnson coming up in just a moment. I mentioned the NBA playoffs now in full swing. You can take the chance to play and win at UnderdogFantasy.com. Some of the association's biggest stars and best teams will be in action tonight. You can head over to UnderdogFantasy.com right now. Place an entry on higher or lower 4.5 3-pointers for Steph Curry, 25.5 points for Donovan Mitchell, 1.5 steals for Drew Holiday. And don't forget, you can also play fantasy with Major League Baseball, the PGA, NASCAR, and more. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com and register with the promo code Sports Talk bonus to claim your free pick. First-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. You must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. That's ncpgambling.org. Wanted to mention here very quickly a little more information on this story about the House settlement. And the judge wrote, quote, "The court finds that the decision by the defendants and NCAA member schools to begin implementing the roster limits before the court granted final approval of the settlement agreement is not a valid reason for approval of the agreement in its current form, despite the harm discussed above." And I wanted to mention this. Football, the roster proposed limit was 105. I think I said 120. I was thinking of the old limit. It's 105. Men's and women's hoops, 15. Baseball, 34. Men's and women's soccer, 28. Softball, 25. Volleyball, 18. Also, she noted that athletes across the country have been told to either enter the portal or not to enroll as a result of the limits that would go into place under the settlement. Now they could potentially have spots on rosters if the agreement does not receive approval. So all those guys you kicked to the curb, you're going to have to take them back, possibly.
Get ready for a deep dive into the X's and O's. This is Chalk Talk with coaches Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Well, I know it's only April, but I thought we would dust off two of the brightest minds ever to walk a sideline, ever to don a headset, ever to draw up an X and an O. Chuck Reedy, Ellis Johnson, little spring chalk talk for you right here on Sports Talk. Let's see if they're okay. Coach Reedy, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. You just want to check, make sure we're still living, right?
I hold my breath when I send a text. Coach Johnson, how are you?
I'm fine. I felt like Rip Van Winkle when I got the call or the text. You know, I've been out here in this damn desert trying to watch NBA and women's basketball or whatever the hell else. So I think it's a brilliant idea. You know, I don't know what the hell we're going to talk about, but I'm just glad to hear somebody knows about football this time of the year.
That's right. Always on our minds. Always on our minds. Let's begin with this. For both of you, Chuck, when you wrapped up a spring practice as a coordinator, a head coach, what kind of feeling did you want to take away from your football team after spring practice?
Well, usually in spring practice, you're obviously spending a lot of time on fundamentals. You're trying to develop young players. You want to come out of spring with having a pretty good idea of who your starting 22 are. And come out of there without any bad injuries. And if you do all of those things, you feel pretty good about it.
How about you, Ellis? What did you want to see in spring practice to kind of make you feel good about your team?
Yeah, same things Chuck said. And if you have a new coach or a new coordinator on one side or both sides, you want to get some scheme stuff done and hopefully get a jump start. But it's so different now. I mean, back then, who we were working with in the spring and a few high school players coming in and maybe 2 transfers or something. I mean, that was your football team. Today, I would say this is a very different approach. I don't know what they do setting goals.
Were you very physical with your spring practices when you were a head coach?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, we tried. I mean, by the time I was a head coach, we didn't have a 15 and 3 of them in shorts and so forth. But that is, like Chuck said, you want to work your fundamentals. You wanted to do a lot of blocking and shedding and tackling decent players, and you didn't worry about getting them hurt as much because if they got a unserious injury, you could get them back before fall. yeah, that's what it was all for. And then they took a lot of practice away over the years, said all the injuries were occurring in spring practice and in games. Well, you can't take away the games. So these brilliant trainers and doctors said, well, we'll cut back on spring practice. What they did was move more injuries into the fall.
Chuck, it seems like we're starting to see the elimination of the spring game, the culmination of spring practice with that much ballyhooed spring game. Now, we still have it here in our state. Clemson had one. South Carolina had one. Between the two, according to their reports, they drew about a combined 70,000. But we're seeing schools across the country sort of do away with that. You think eventually we're going to see the end of an actual spring game?
Well, I'm afraid we probably will. I would suspect maybe, and I think would be a good thing, that really to generate interest and raise money would be to have be able to have a game against another opponent. I know that's been thrown out there. I think that would be something that would really generate a lot of excitement. Mm-hmm. and the spring games, they were always, kind of overhyped, and, they were fun for the coaches and the players and whatever, but, they've lost their luster. But, I would love to see, them go to something where, you played an opponent, obviously not somebody you play during the regular season, but just, play a game. And I think that would generate a lot of excitement in the spring.
Yeah, they even took them off television. I mean, ESPN gave them options to televise it or do a 30-minute special just on your team, Ellis. But South Carolina and Clemson and others both opted not to have the games televised. I know that. Did you go to the Clemson game, or what'd you do?
Yeah, I went, and it was sort of the same as it was the year before, but to be honest with you, it was a little more scrimmage type too. Everybody's dealing with different situations now than they were just a few years back. And I think Chuck's idea, I've always thought it was crazy. I mean, high schools get scrimmage games, pros get scrimmage games, quote, preseason. College is only level that you don't get work against other teams. I think spring practice would be a great time to do that. And there are a lot of pro teams that go and have a 3 or 4 or 5 day, maybe even a week session and practice against each other. What it does is it enables you to do this much work, but it takes out of the physicality and the beating on any one individual player. So it just makes so much sense. One thing I hated doing when I was a coach was tackling my good running backs.
Mm-hmm.
But, sometimes if you don't tackle good players, you ain't going to learn how to tackle. But it is an evolving thing. I don't know if you'll ever see them completely go away. One reason people didn't want to go on TV is it's not a game anymore. Most of them are controlled scrimmages.
Visiting with Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. I think I mislabeled them earlier as Coach Ellis and Coach Johnson, all combined into one. Coach Reedy and Coach Johnson. Let's get the name right, Corn. So, Chuck, I said last night, I mean, you know a heck of a lot more about it than I do. I'm just an outside observer. With all this stuff happening with player movement, I mean, if you don't have a quarterback, a solid quarterback in your system, you're not going to have a good team. You might occasionally hit on something. Miami hit on a good quarterback last year for 1 year, and they had a good year out of it. But, I mean, you look around the NFL, the teams that are the best in the NFL are the ones that have a consistently good quarterback. They're not changing quarterbacks every year. What about, like, in college? Like, Tennessee now has got to start over with a new quarterback. I mean, can you survive in college changing your quarterback, like, every year?
Well, no, but I mean, if you look at Ohio State, they won the national championship last year with a 1 year guy, and Notre Dame played for the national championship with a 1 year guy. So that's college football. That's what it is now. When I was coaching and Ellis was coaching, no, you couldn't. But those days are long gone, and so you can go out and get you a quarterback and be really good.
So what you're telling me is we were led to believe you had to develop a quarterback, took 2 or 3 years in the offense. You're telling me it's not that hard anymore.
Well, obviously not. All we have to do is look at the results. In a perfect world, you bring a guy in, you redshirt him, you let him be a backup for a year or two, and then he's ready to play. That's the way it used to be. Those days are long gone. It's not that way anymore. I don't know. We'd love to have that, but that's not the way it is.
Yeah. You do that
well,
this
year.
Go ahead.
They get developed. Notre Dame got developed. Was it Duke?
Yeah.
And Ohio State, I don't know where he got developed. They all get developed, but they get developed from somebody else's program. Wake Forest is putting more quarterbacks in playoff teams than anybody. But they develop them. I guess it's like raising turkeys. Each age you got people who hatch them. You have to take them over in this barn. They grow them up a little bit. And you take them over to the last barn, and they fatten them up and sell them. It's crazy. Chuck hit it on the head. Is that not unbelievable? I never thought about that. Unbelievable. Both of the teams that played for the national championship played a quarterback that was his first year starting for that team.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That says a lot. That's a big picture.
All right, let me ask you, Ellis. Got about 5 minutes. What's your feeling here in the spring? I know you didn't see a whole lot of South Carolina or Clemson in the spring. Maybe you talked to some people. Maybe you just have gut instinct. What's your feeling about the two of them coming out of spring ball?
Well, again, I don't know much about South Carolina at all because, just my son obviously was over on the team at Clemson. I went over to practice a few times.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I noticed about both of them, each of them bringing back a quarterback that can play with anybody in the country. And Clemson's a little more experienced. I don't think he's got all the different versatility that Lenoris has, but he's more experienced, more polished, and so forth. At this moment, he has better help as far as his targets. Now, offensive line-wise, Clemson had a bunch of offensive linemen out getting surgeries from the season. What do you call them? Repairs and so forth.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they had 3 guys, really critical offensive linemen. They didn't practice. They were putting in a new system on defense. So, that I think they probably got a lot out of spring from that respect. And so it looked okay. I couldn't tell a big difference in the 2 previous teams. But they're good enough to win the ACC, and they're good enough to get back in the playoffs. They're not good enough to say, hey, we're going to come out here and kick your rear end and dominate this year. But they're a really good team. And I would say South Carolina is very similar, but South Carolina has more turnover in the roster each year. And it's just very, very hard and more difficult to keep up with their roster. But as long as you got Lenoris and you got him healthy, that's a huge start.
Chuck, how about you on the two programs, 2 teams coming out of spring?
Obviously, Ellis knows Clemson much better than I do. But I looking at Clemson, looking at their roster, looking at what they've got coming back. I think they're, I think they're going to be really good. I really do. I think the new defense coordinator will make a difference. Certainly, they look like a playoff team. When you got, Klubnik, like Ellis mentioned, he's one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the country coming back. The guy, did numbers phenomenal. South Carolina, again, Ellis nailed it. I think last year they hit the portal and they hit a home run on the portal. If you look at the guys, that they got out of the portal, I don't know how many, but I bet they got 5 or 6 starters out of the portal that they got last year that played for them and played really well. How good are those guys, portal guys, this year? My understanding, they're not as good as what they had last year. And I think that will make a big difference because, they've got to plug some holes. And, they're out there now looking for edge guys. I don't know. I think they're a little bit questionable.
Good point. They did lose a lot, especially on defense. You look at the prospects they have for the draft tomorrow. There's NFL lists 12, and half of them are transfer guys. And you're talking about like Sanders and Knight and
Well, I'm going to tell you an interesting, and I saw this today. The guy listed the top 100 draft prospects. Clemson had one, and that which tells me Clemson's not. They're not recruiting now. The 26 class looks really good. They haven't recruited at the same level the last 3 or 4 years. When they only have one guy in the top 100 in the draft, tells you that their talent level is not what it has been. South Carolina had 4. Now, that's just one guy's top 100, but that says a lot. And I think 2 of those guys that South Carolina had were transfer guys that came in and played a year. I think that's right, and made a difference.
Well, E-Man Warrior will be one of those for South Carolina for sure. Going to go in the first round tomorrow night. So.
Well, and obviously they had Demetrius Knight in there. They had
Kennard,
the defensive lineman.
Kennard.
Yeah, Kennard.
Yeah, the defensive end. That was what was it? Was
Kennard.
Yeah, Kennard.
Yeah, Kennard. So you had Kennard and Knight, 2 transfers, 1-year guys that are top 100 draft picks. I mean, they hit it. They hit the damn jackpot in the portal last year. I mean, and you're not, ask Florida State, you're not going to hit it like that every year.
That's what you call player development, like y'all were talking about earlier. Let somebody else develop them, and don't waste your time and go get them.
Would have made your life a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Oh.
Well, they did pick up 2 edge. You mentioned they were looking for 2 edges. They got Clowney's cousin, Damon Clowney, and then they just took a kid that had committed them back in 2021, went down to Florida State.
Campbell. They got him from Campbell.
Campbell. Yeah.
I don't think he's a Kyle Kennard, but I don't know. I shouldn't say that because I don't know.
Right.
But I doubt it.
Probably not. Guys, we're gonna let you get to your bedtime hour. It's coming up on 7:30, so I know it's late. But we wish you a great summer. Rest up, stay healthy, and look forward to cranking it back up with you come August here on Sports Talk.
Thanks, fellas.
That sounds good. Good to be with y'all.
Bill.
Yes, sir.
Corner.
Yeah.
I did a little homework. It's right at 129 days till the opening game.
Oh.
So hopefully we can survive until then.
I hope so. That's only like 3 months, so hang in there. Hang in there. Or 4 months. We'll be back. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, this is Billy Downer from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Are you looking for a safe place to shoot your rifle or handgun? Did you know that the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources operates 4 manned ranges across the state in Pickens County, Spartanburg County, Richland County, and Charleston County? For more information on our public ranges, visit dnr.sc.gov/shooting.
The difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosseller Brown. Did you know Lawyer Lisa offers a prevention plan add-on to our services? If you already have a trust or just need some updates, ask about getting your ducks in a row and getting all of your wishes set out before it's needed. Visit lawyerlisa.com for more information.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Are you in the market for an auto loan? Move now. Get an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union now through October 31st, and you'll be entered to win up to $25,000 toward your qualifying auto loan and a $5,000 deposit into your Loyalty Select account. Loyalty Select is our highest yield savings account. Leave it there to grow or transfer it out to spend. And the best part? We'll be choosing monthly winners. So the earlier you get your auto loan, the more chances you have to win. So don't wait. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto to learn more or begin your auto loan application today. Not a Founders member yet? Visit us online or stop by an office to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. We have the financial tools you'll need and the personalized service you deserve. Relax, you're with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All right, thanks again to Coach Reedy and Coach Johnson for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk. Time for the recruiting report brought to you by Seawells. All right, another big day tomorrow, daily luncheon buffet from 11 till 2. Make sure you get over there for that. Got a big, beautiful menu waiting for you there at Seawells. All right, real quick, Plummer, what you got on the menu tomorrow?
Well,
tomorrow only. Thursday only. Big
As always,
Thursday.
Southern fried chicken, and then you got lasagna, fried pork chops, shrimp Alfredo.
God, what a selection.
Great stuff.
Eclectic. We call that in the food world eclectic. An eclectic. You ever call it eclectic? Is that eclectic, Bergie? You're the word master.
It's plenty good for me.
Yeah. Yep. And, of course, for your special event coming up here this summer or fall, though you'd be foolish to have a special event in the fall, wouldn't you? Football season. But if you do, call Seawells. Spring, summer, fall, winter, whatever the case, they're there for you. 803-771-7385. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Recap, South Carolina commitment today, defensive end George Wilson. He's actually a signee now. They announced him as a signee. 6'4", 230.
What did he sign?
Whatever he had to sign. I don't know what he signed, but he signed something. He had committed to Gamecocks in high school for the 21 class, but after the coaching change, he changed and went to Florida State for 2 years, redshirted a year, and then played a season there. Then he transferred down to Campbell. He played 2 seasons before transferring again, and last season, in 9 games, he had 11 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. Again, depth for the Gamecocks. That's 7 defensive ends, new defensive ends on the roster, and a total of 41 newcomers. 41 newcomers. Whew. Georgia cornerback Chris Peel of Charlotte is transferring. He's a player South Carolina was heavy on in 2023 when he made an unofficial visit in June, an official visit in September. He also took officials to NC State and Michigan. He's out of Providence Day, so someone to keep an eye on possibly. Safety Joel Combe, 6'2", 190, Marietta, Georgia, sent an official to South Carolina for June 6. He was in earlier this month. Offensive lineman Jabian Shabazz, 6'5", 295, Kernersville, North Carolina, was at USC last weekend. The Gamecocks have offered him. Clemson offered offensive tackle Dominique Harris, 6'8", 325 of Las Vegas. USC target defensive tackle Brian Harris was offered by Alabama. Clemson coach, offensive line coach Matt Luke, Tuesday, was at Crestwood, Pageland Central, Cheraw, and Lugoff Elgin high schools. USC target 27 defensive end Rashad Streets of Raleigh was offered by Florida. USC target 27 tight end Jackson Dollar of Denver, North Carolina, was offered by Tennessee. Another 27 USC target linebacker Jalathan Mayfield was offered by Florida. And we'll be back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly cloudy this evening with a low temp dipping to 62. Tomorrow, much like today, on and off showers, nothing too intense. The high temperature topping out at 79. Less chance of rain, but still cloudy for Friday and Saturday. Sunday looking great. Sunshine and a high of 78. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point look of weather.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing our new healthy gluten-free menu. For your choices, we offer charbroiled certified Angus ribeye steak, juicy marinated grilled chicken dinner, fresh grilled salmon, authentic Greek salad, hamburger steak with grilled onions and melted cheese, shish kebab with grilled chicken, veggie blue plate with a choice of 4 vegetable selections, spring chicken salad, and of course, our famous slow-roasted pot roast. Come and enjoy a healthy gluten-free menu at Flight Deck Restaurant. We at Flight Deck Restaurant thank you, and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump has again lashed out at Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Trump says Zelensky is prolonging the killing field after the Ukrainian leader pushed back on ceding Crimea to Russia as part of a potential peace plan. Zelensky on Tuesday ruled out the idea of Ukraine ceding territory to Russia as part of any potential peace agreement. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency says Iran has agreed to allow in a technical team from the UN nuclear watchdog to discuss restoring camera surveillance at its nuclear sites. IAEA head Rafael Mariano Grossi spoke to reporters in Washington on Wednesday after meetings with Iranian leaders in Tehran last week. On Wall Street, the Dow by 419 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey, this is Kev with my good friend Ken from over at Broker Solar, and he really is a good friend. I've known Ken's family for more than 20 years. All right, so how many people lost power for an extended time back when we had that hurricane come through here, right? You got the solution, though, Ken, the solar-powered batteries.
The battery with solar system is essential. Not only can you back up your loads in an emergency event like a power outage, but you can also control the peak times that you use power, and the batteries can kick in to supplement your power usage. With our solar batteries, you can back up the home just like a generator would, but run it off the clean energy from the sun, which we get every single day. So no need to refill the gas, propane tanks, all powered by the sun.
Remember, Broker Solar is local. You make the call, the investment is worth it. How do the Point listeners find you over at Broker Solar, Ken?
The best way is going to be through brokersolar.com. Plenty of contact us buttons, but the phone number to reach us at would be 803-807-7417.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Tradition and quality. That's what you get with H&J Cattle Company, where local third-generation farmers ensure you receive the finest beef in South Carolina. Our registered Hereford and Wagyu cattle are raised with sustainable practices without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. Taste the difference with the highest quality beef guaranteed. Order now at hdjcattle.com or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle. Again, hdjcattle.com, where ethics meets quality.
Can't stand when the next door neighbor has something you'd love? They call that spring envy. You do not want to experience spring envy, do you? At Floor Boys, your neighbors can't envy you because you'll get your flooring fixed this spring. With Floor Boys, you can get up to 48 months of 0% financing, interest-free up to 48 months on the finest quality hardwoods, LVP, carpeting, laminate, tile, even area rugs. Don't wait. This incredible deal is only good through June 2nd, and then you'll be back to that wicked case of spring envy. Visit floorboys.com for all the details.
I'm David Jolly of the Higgins and Halloran Insurance Group. When you think about insurance, I want you to think of me. There's so many insurance agencies out there and even more agents. How am I different? Quite honestly, I know what I'm talking about. I've spent 11 years handling insurance claims, and claims are the promise side of the policy, and I've seen it all. I know the policy, I know the language, and I know how the system works. So when you think about insurance, think of me, David Jolly of the Higgins and Halloran Insurance Group. Call me at 803-850-0054. I look forward to speaking with you soon.
It's SC Wild with Major Billy Downer from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer is here to answer your questions about the great outdoors. Call in now at 888-898-2525 and join SC Wild on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Love to hear from you tonight. Question or comment from Major Billy Downer about the great outdoors, about something with the Department of Natural Resources. He is here. Take on your questions, your comments. You can also send us a text message. We'll relay that to the Major. And that phone number is 803-900-4847. 803-900-4847. We welcome in from the Department of Natural Resources here on SC Wild, Major Billy Downer. Good evening, Major. How are you?
I am doing great. Always a pleasure to be with you tonight, as always.
Yes, sir.
On a Wednesday night in South Carolina. We are still in the middle of turkey season, and I know folks are probably excited to hear the total right now. we're somewhere just below 7,000 birds across the state, somewhere around 6,900 birds have been taken thus far. And number one, top counties have not shifted much. Your top county for the state as far as birds taken would be Colleton County at 354, followed up by Orangeburg in a close second at 347, and then Williamsburg down at 334. Then after that, it just drops off. And it drops off to counties like Horry County at 253. Looks like Berkeley County is 239. And, Florence County, believe it or not, 271. So Florence County would be in fourth place. Interesting. So that's your numbers right now. Again, your top counties for turkeys in the state. Looks like top three would be in order: Colleton, Orangeburg, and then Williamsburg. Those are your top three counties.
Anything surprise you about that, or is that pretty much norm?
I guess I'd be surprised a little bit about Williamsburg's always been strong with turkeys, and folks in the Colleton County area, Hampton, there's a lot of birds down there, so they have a good population still of birds. We are seeing, if we talked about, a decrease in birds, but you're still going to see heavier numbers in areas where birds have always done well. Williamsburg is one of those areas that they've always done really well. Colleton County, but Orangeburg, I guess Orangeburg surprised me a little bit. It's pretty high up there. I mean, they're number 2, and they're literally within 6 birds. So that's pretty surprising to me.
Where did the wild turkey population come from into South Carolina? When did it start to migrate into South Carolina?
Well, they've been here all along, so they are one of our naturally occurring big game animals. Our population really began to grow as the department started moving turkeys. So we never brought turkeys in from anywhere else. All of the restocking in South Carolina occurred from birds in the Francis Marion Forest down toward Berkeley County, again, Charleston, Upper Charleston area. Our birds came from there, and they were moved across the state. I think there were some birds also originally in a few other areas, but that's one of the main areas that we stocked birds from. So we literally went in and trapped birds and would move them. And back in the day, you had to have 3,000 contiguous acres at least to put birds out on. And those birds could not be hunted for 6 years. So restocking areas, they had to be, the birds had to be protected for 6 years. And it's incredible that we have birds in every county of the state now because of stocking efforts of our biologists. And one of our key ones back then was Dave Bauman, and he is a good friend of mine, always been a great mentor, and he was responsible for a lot of that. Did a lot of good work. His son's now a biologist in Georgia and is actually the head turkey biologist there, which is kind of funny. He kept it in the family. But but yes, it started from a natural occurring population that was left in the Francis Marion Forest, and through restocking, they are now in every county of the state. Interestingly enough, other states across the United States have eastern wild turkey populations that can trace their roots back to South Carolina. We trap birds and actually sold to other states for their restocking program once our restocking program had gotten so successful.
So how are you finding talking with Major Billy Downer, SC Wild, here on Sports Talk Media Network from DNR? If you want to join in, 888-898-2525, or text message line is 803-900-4847. The quality, how is the quality of the crop this year?
Well, your birds, as far as your birds, they are always, like I said, we are seeing a downtrend. So fewer birds out there. Obviously, when there are fewer birds, you don't see always the big bird you want. You're going to see a lot of jakes. Jakes are your young birds. And again, that's elite. They're illegal to take this year, to take a jake. But there's still some good birds out there. Most people, when they're talking about a full-grown gobbler, looking at a 2.5-year-old bird, it's going to be around 18 to 20 pounds. He's going to have an 8 to 10 inch beard. and probably 3/4 to 1.25 inch spurs. It just depends on the genetics. Honestly, everybody used to always look at the spurs, which is that back, the hooks, if you will, on the back of that bird, just like a rooster has, and they use those to fight and stab at their at other turkeys. They push those into other birds and push them away. But a lot of people used to say that they used to use that to kind of tell that was the measure of a quote trophy. But we've learned through good science that that's basically has nothing to do with their age, but with genetics. Some birds just have good genetics for long spurs. Now, obviously, a 6-month-old bird, a year-old bird is not going to have a lot of spurs. But when you get that 2.5 to 3.5, 4.5, their spur length is more genetics at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So long, slender spurs, 1.5 inches is a really long spur length. But anyway, that's what we're looking at as far as our turkey population. But we have talked a lot of turkey in the last few weeks, so I don't want to keep hitting people with that. But
well, hang on. Got a question for you here from Russell, who's watching us on YouTube, and he wants to know, what about the upstate counties like Anderson and Abbeville when it comes to the wild turkey hunting?
All right, well, I can give you an upstate report. Hold on.
All right.
We'll get in there. We'll get in there and check on that.
And we got a caller.
Get back to my.
We got a caller for you as well hanging on, so we'll go to that after you finish up with this answer.
We're going to get this answer coming. I lost my group, so we're going to do a county, select all, view report. And again, folks, anybody can do this on your mobile phone through the Go Outdoors SC app. Go Outdoors SC app on your mobile phone, Apple or Android device. You go to the Hunter's Toolbox, and then you can click on there. When you click on that, once you log in, it's going to push. You can put it down there to the turkey take. So your upstate, honestly, out of your upstate areas, Anderson County is at 116 birds so far. Really, probably out of all the upstate, I'm looking at Greenville. Greenville's the biggest at 165. That's surprising. So Greenville County, Pickens County is right there under 100 right now. Union County is at 162. Cherokee County is at 106. But Greenville right there is probably bigger. Abbeville at 92. Anderson County right now, 116 birds taken so far. So Greenville is holding the upstate strong at 165. So that's pretty good for the upstate. Now you want to get, it depends on what you call the upstate. Lawrence is at 153. They got a good population, and my good retired friend Steve Simpson's there hunting now. So Lawrence County is at 153. That's pretty good also as well. But Lawrence and Greenville joined, so those two counties are pretty strong.
Well, I think a lot of Gamecock fans would be surprised with that number for Pickens County because they think a lot of turkeys live up there.
Oh, yeah. Nice one, Phil. Nice. Thanks for that. Thanks for adding to the joy tonight.
Speaking of, let's go to Stan, the Tiger Man. Usually calls Sports Talk to talk about Clemson, but he wants to talk DNR and South Carolina outdoors tonight with you, Major. Stan, welcome in. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. And, Major, I appreciate all the info you put out. I didn't know if you was aware of this. Did you know a biologist by the name of Vernon Bevel?
I did not know him.
Okay, well, he was right there in Edgefield, which he's past now, and another than Larry Luckett. And, man, that's the best job I ever had. I was a biologist lead, and we trapped them. You didn't mention this. I don't know if you're aware. We trapped a lot of turkeys off the Savannah River site.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
I gave a lot of credit to the Francis Marion for the pure stock, but I knew that there were some birds up toward Edgefield that got trapped. So, yes.
Well, I'm talking about the Savannah River site right here. You know where the bomb plant is.
The CSRA. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Right. So you said South Carolina. Now, I didn't go much when they released them, but buddy, I loved. We had the chufa patches. We put out the corn, and I used to love to pop the net over them, and we put wing streamers on it and transmitters and kind of followed them. But I thoroughly enjoyed that, and of course we got to shoot the wild hog and all. But I just appreciate all the info. I used to be avid in all of it, but I got the children and grandchildren now, and I try to tend to them more so than the hunting.
Well, I was glad that you got to be a part of that history, because a lot of people don't understand where our birds came from. So thanks for sharing that part of that story. That's pretty cool.
Yes, sir. Now, I think they brought some from the other Francis Marion places to kind of start them out there good. But I remember one day I was having a lunch break and kind of called my first one up with my mouth. He come right on up and had the little clamp on his leg.
Yep.
I can't think of what the little. You know what I'm talking about? But
the band.
Yeah, we
yes,
trapped
sir.
a lot of. Yes, the band, and but they'd get a certain amount of hens and gobblers, and they'd already have, like you say, the land staked out. They had to have a certain amount of acreage, Now I'm not going to talk no more at the time, but Corn, I do got to throw out the Tigers taking care of Georgia, and then the women's softball beating the number one ball.
They did that. The big night for Clemson on the diamond for sure.
Well, I tell you what, Major, appreciate what you do. All that's the Lord's creation. He put it out there for us to enjoy, and appreciate all you do. And I sit here and feed deer in my backyard right in the city limits. And
I
birds.
appreciate
And
the fact that you. Thank you for being a good steward, because that's what the Lord calls us to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. I tell you what, a lot of people fall in love with the creation and don't know nothing about the Creator. And now that I'm going to preach you a sermon, I got to tell it like it is. It just didn't pop into existence with the Big Bang Theory, I tell you that, buddy.
Yes, sir.
But,
well, thank you for sharing that story with us tonight.
Yes, sir. You take care, and Corn, always appreciate you and all you do, buddy. You do a good job.
Thank you, sir. Great hearing from you. Appreciate it. And the phone number is 888-898-2525. You want to jump on board with Major Downer with a comment or a question like Stan did, or drop us a text line, number 803-900-4847. Now, you know I got to ask you, because I know that you are a cook extraordinaire of outdoor game. So when you're preparing your wild turkey, what is your favorite recipe? What do you turn to?
So a lot of people have really started frying birds, and this is the hard part. If you pick a bird all the way down to get a whole bird, deep frying them is great. But I'll also tell you the breast is good meat. You cut that in a small, like almost slivers, not like real thin, but like a little bit smaller than what you would consider a chicken finger, and batter those up. Cajun Creole butter. Cajun injectable Creole butter is a great marinade. You stick that with the needle, and you can actually inject the meat with that marinade. It's great. And then put some any kind of batter, like any of your frying batter. I personally like house archery medium hot, adds a little kick to it. And put that in. You can soak them in buttermilk or milk, each other with one, or water, just anything to get that batter to stick, and fry them. Again, fry them till they're just cooked. Don't fry them till they're done so much that they're like a piece of leather, and they are a great table fare for sure. I'm sure others have even better recipes that they've used for years. It's always fun to hear everybody's version of how they like to cook a wild turkey, duck, dove, whatever. But they are good table fare. But again, great to hear stories like that when folks have been a part of actually banding, trapping, and the CSRA area, of course. That was I knew there were other areas, and that may have been one of them that we actually trapped and put birds out in South Carolina. That may have been an area that we trapped and sent birds away from. Who knows, to other states. We did a lot of both of that.
Big difference in taste between the wild turkey and the butterball that you buy at your grocery store?
Absolutely. Always going to be different because your wild game, your wild birds are always moving. The birds you buy at a butterball in the store, he probably hardly, once he gets big enough, they're so big they hardly even move inside a turkey house. They just stand there all day. So they got lots of fat, and they don't get a lot of lean meat. Your wild turkey is a lean bird. They've got to run and fly to survive. Everything's trying to eat them. They got to watch out for coyotes. They got to watch out for bobcats. They just got to keep the head on a swivel basically all the time. So they are a much leaner bird, not a lot of fat. So they do have a different taste. But marinades really work well with that. Different type of marinades, your favorite marinade, try it. But that, again, that's what I always say, cooking wild meat. Don't cook it all the way well done. Cook it somewhere in the medium range. And get that, you want to cook it to the minimum temperature for chicken, but you don't want to cook it past that.
Yeah.
You want it to be nice and juicy and not where you've basically dried it out to leather. That's when it really gets tough. And again, a wild turkey is going to cook faster because it doesn't have the fat in the meat.
Making me hungry. You mentioned coyotes. We haven't updated the coyote situation across the state. How's it looking?
So again, remember, folks, that year-round, we can shoot coyotes. Coyotes can be taken year-round along with wild hogs or feral hogs and armadillos. Those can be shot any time of day, day and night, all year long. There's a night hunting registration online you can do to register your property to be able to shoot coyotes at night. During the day, though, you can shoot them anywhere on property because, again, coyotes are not a natural part of our landscape. They have ended up here, and it's open season on coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's been a lot of conjecture about coyotes and their effect on the turkey population, but we have very little proof that they actually kill turkeys. They may harass them. They may come after them. You may see them come up when you call. They may come to that turkey sound looking for a meal. That doesn't mean that they get a meal every time. You're curious, checking it out. Turkeys, again, are fast on their feet and fast to fly, and they can get up pretty fast. So coyotes aren't very successful in taking turkeys. But before we end up tonight, Phil, it is getting warm outside.
Yep.
It was in the 70s, 80s this past weekend, felt like the 90s, and it is starting to be boating season. So I do want to remind folks this time of year as we're getting into May and we're approaching Memorial Day in just 4 or 5 short weeks, and folks are already getting out in the water now. I was out in the water last week and saw a lot of people in boats enjoying South Carolina's waterways. Before you go out this time of year, this is when you really need to take a look at your boat. Before you take that boat out, a few quick things before you get, even leave your house. Check your registration sticker on the side of the boat. Make sure the boat is not expired. Look at your sticker. Make sure that the current year is showing 25. Check the month on there. Is it at least 4 or 5? If it's 3, you're out of date. You're going to be expired registration. So check your registration. Go check all of your safety equipment. Look at all of your life jackets. Y'all have heard me say this for 7 years, but I'm going to keep saying it because no matter how many times I say it, we still have accidents where people fail to have life jackets in the right place. So check your life jackets, your personal flotation devices. Inspect each one visibly. Look at them for any holes or tears. A lot of people leave their life jackets in the boat all winter long, and they'll succumb to mildew, and they can get small holes, rips, tears in them, and that will make the life jacket not work when you need it to. So check the life jackets. Make sure they're in good condition. Count them out. Make sure you got enough for who you're taking on the trip that day. And then make sure they're going to fit everybody on the trip that day. If you got a new grandchild like me, go make sure you get them a new life jacket. Tell you a quick one. For Easter this year, my granddaughter got a new life jacket.
How about that?
Said, Major Downer is in charge of the radio show. I've been doing boating safety for 15 years. My granddaughter is going to get a new life jacket for Easter. So instead of eggs, she got a nice life jacket so that when she goes in the water, she can look cool, but she can be safe too. So I got her a nice body glove pink life jacket from Walmart. Spared no expense. But anyway, but make sure you got life jackets in all seriousness to fit everybody on board. If you got an infant, make sure it fits them. If they're under 30 pounds, make sure the life jacket's made for under 30. Don't put a 30 to 55-pound life jacket on an infant because they will pop out of it. Likewise, don't put a small life jacket on a child so that if they hit the water and they need to float, it's not helping them float. They're sinking. Make sure you get the properly fitting life jacket. Make sure it fits them. Make sure you have enough. Make sure they're in good condition. And then again, safety equipment doesn't just include life jackets. That includes a fire extinguisher. If you got a boat with an in-hull tank, which most folks do today, center consoles, pontoons, whatever, make sure you got a fire extinguisher. A 1B1 will most likely cover you in most instances unless you have a bigger boat. That's a 1B1 boat, boat fire extinguisher. You can go to Walmart and pick that up. Again, whistle. One more thing. Make sure you got a whistle or make sure your horn works on the boat so that you can use a sounding device if you need to alert somebody that you're in trouble or let somebody know where you are on the water. So safety equipment, visual inspection, registration, check all that before you go on the water. Before you get to go, check your trailer out. Visibly inspect the trailer. We've been doing some recent little video clips on Facebook and Instagram lately to remind folks to walk around the boat, check the trailer, check your tires, make sure you got enough air in the tires, make sure you grease the hubs on the trailer because the last thing you want to do is leave the house heading to the lake, get halfway there and the wheel comes off. that makes for a very bad day. So grease your hubs.
That would mess up your trip. Let me ask you this too. Got about 3 minutes. Would you also suggest for those who are just getting back into the boat, just getting back in the water, go review the rules of the water? Go to your handbook and review the rules.
Absolutely, it's a good idea to go back through the rules of the road. If you want to do that, go to dnr.sc.gov to our webpage, and you can look for boating safety, and the handbook is a free download on there, and you can look at the boating safety handbook on our boating education page, and it'll give you quick tips on safety, just like we're doing now. But visually inspecting that boat, making sure you got safety equipment, check your registration, check the tires, check your lugs, make sure you've greased the hubs. Make sure when you hook that boat up that if you got a 2-inch ball, you've got a 2-inch hitch. And I can't say it more simpler than that. If you got most people don't have a 1 7/8 inch ball anymore. But if you use a 1 7/8 with a 2-inch hitch, guess what it's going to do? It can pop off. If it pops off while you're riding down the road, I can still remember that story when I was 15 years old and the John boat passed us in the road going duck hunting one morning. That was not a fun experience.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, when you hook that trailer up, always hook your chains up. Cross them and hook them under next to the ball you should have slots on your hitch that allow those chains to hook up. Hook the chains up so if the trailer does come off, it remains attached to your truck. If you cross the chains, that allows kind of like a net for that hitch to fall into when it tightens up, and it may keep you from hitting the ground. So just make sure you do all that before you leave. In the next few shows coming up, we'll go through a lot more boating basics as we get into this boating season. But right now, pre-inspection of your trailer, of your boat before you leave the house is a must right now. Make sure you do all those things so that you can have an enjoyable day out in and on the water here in South Carolina.
Let me say this too, just as a driver on the roads, one thing that really infuriates me is to be behind somebody pulling a boat, and they don't have lights working on the boat. So you can, and you pull up on them all of a sudden, and there's a boat in front of you.
That's an excellent point, and I'm going to quote somebody. A good friend of mine here in Manning. He said this about trailer lights. He said, "Billy, trailer lights are an abomination." He said they only work when you pull them off the lot, and that's the last time they ever work. Mm-hmm. They never work when you need them.
Yeah.
Inspect your trailer. Inspect your lights. When you plug the pigtail up, it's a great point, Phil. When you plug that pigtail up, most modern vehicles now will tell you if your trailer lights are working, or they'll even tell you left light failure. That's kind of cool. My Ford truck was a 2018. It will tell you if there's a light failure on your trailer, which is kind of cool. But yes, make sure your lights are working on your trailer, because nobody wants you to brake and not be able to see your lights on the trailer, and all of a sudden they run into the back of the boat.
Yeah.
Not only are they going to be mad, but you're going to be mad because it's your fault. They ran into the back of your boat because you didn't have your lights working.
Major, great stuff. Look forward to being back with you in a couple of weeks, because we'll be into May, and we got the big Memorial Day weekend coming up where boating is king in South Carolina. I know you'll have a lot to say about that.
Absolutely, sir. Great night. Thanks for letting me be on the show again.
Fantastic. Love the stuff. Thank you. Learned a lot. I hope you all learned a lot as well. I learned something every time I listen to Major Downer, because he's not only a part of the DNR side of things, he's a teacher, and you can learn by listening to him. That'll do it. Thank you for being with us. Have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow.